What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, I want to speak on the current situation with the NBA and the NBA players as far as the like people calling the players out, and what was the one guy, PK Subban, called the players out about the effort that they're putting forth, and also the guys he's they're not being LeBron James and Kevin Durant, not really, in a lot of people's opinion, not really being ambassadors for the league, right? And not really like leaving the league in a better place than what they found it in, and so a lot of what people are saying is true about, like the play of the players in the NBA, and these guys are playing like uninspired, unmotivated type basketball. But I want to add another twist to it, a different perspective. But first I want to listen to the guy, his name PK Subban. I think is that how you pronounce? I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but I want to listen to him and just give a different perspective on what I think is going on with the NBA and the lack of uninspired play.
Question for the NBA players. What the hell are you playing for? What are you playing for? It's not about the money. You make all the money. What, you're injured? Well, there's a difference between being hurt and injured. So you want to talk about the business, the CBA. Fans get all of that. But what do fans resonate with? They resonate with what's real. You got to compete. You got to go out there and leave it on the ice because those people are paying the price of admission. So fans know whether our stars are on the ice or not, they're getting their money's worth. The NBA has that issue that they got to work on. You got to create a better culture for your players. It starts with the leaders. This issue, there was no issue when Jordan was around. There was no issue when Kobe was around.
Search your feeling, you know it to be true.
Yeah, now that's true. When Mike and Kobe was around, it was no issue about, it was no, wasn't even a question about trying to get those guys to play hard and and compete. And so, but I think part of this is not just on the players, but it falls onto the owners, right? Because I think that people, everybody is a product of their environment. And so the NBA environment has been adjusted so much that the guys on the floor really don't have to compete. And so I'm going to listen to some more of this guy's statements, and then I'm going to go further into what I mean about the adjustment to the NBA environment and why I think that these guys feel or don't feel the need to compete.
Topics in sports right now revolves around the NBA, its decline, and why the league has fallen off so drastically. And a lot of stuff.
All right, so that was the end of PK Subban. This is somebody else giving their input on it, right? And so why I think, and why do I say like we are a product of our environment? The NBA has just changed so much that there's no need for guys to really be as physical. Number one, a big part of it is the 3-point shot, right? And so the 3-point shot naturally makes a player not be as aggressive as they would be if they were trying to work the ball around and get a either penetrate and get a mid-range shot or play with your back to the goal. Those shots, you're going to meet more resistance if you when you try to get those shots. But a lot of those, like mid-range shot is like a lost art. Playing with your back to the basket and the post, that's like a lost art, right? So, but not just that. When you think about the center position and how the center position is played, no more Hakeem Olajuwons in the league. You don't have any more Shaquille O'Neals in the league or Patrick Ewings. Those guys, Karl Malone, those guys made a living in the low post. And so you don't have big men like that who can make a living in the low post because you have so many players shooting the 3-point and playing on the perimeter. So that's it. So you don't have those positions. Then on top of that, you don't have the power forward position is basically gone. So you don't have guys like Lonzo Mourning, Kevin Willis, what's the guy that played in Boston? You don't have well, I mean, like the power forward, and like I said, you don't have that power forward position, or the center position. And those are the guys who used to challenge. Those were the physical guys who used to do most of the challenging at the rim. So nowadays, if you in the NBA, if you beat your man off the dribble, or if you catch him not, you catch him sleeping and you do a backdoor cut, nobody's gonna, most likely in most cases, you're not gonna get challenged at the rim. Or if you do get challenged, the big man will be too late, and it'll be a situation like where you have Ja Morant. He every time I turn around, Ja Morant is dunking on Wembanyama, right? Because Wemby, his man pull him so far away from the rim that that by the time he do recover, he is not in time. So you don't have Kevin McHale's and all those guys in the low post anymore. Guys who really had real footwork and who could play down there. And so that part right there is not on the players. That's on the owners for creating that type of environment. And I think that type of environment was created because, so they can make room for like international players. That's not a style that international players are comfortable with, playing with. And so in order you'll have more success, set them up, international players for success, you create that, you just take that part away from it. And so that is what, my opinion, is the big change in the NBA, is that those two positions, the power forward and the center position, is gone. The guard position, has changed. You got guys playing a guard position who could never, like Luka. In my opinion, Luka would not, like in the 80s or the 90s, Luka would not have been able to play point guard. Number one, he's not a two-way player. Number two, and he's slow. And I know, like Magic Johnson was like, what, 6'9", 6'10" to play point guard, but Magic was he was like a unicorn. And Luka is not a unicorn. Luka is just a big guy who is slow. And I don't think Luka would be able to play no point guard like in the 80s and 90s. He's just too much of a liability on both ends of the court. Not just the offense, but the defense. He wouldn't have been able to play that style, and so that's, and I think the powers that be knew that, a lot of foreign players wouldn't be able to do what Magic did. They wouldn't be able to do what Bird did, and so they had to change that league, had to change the league. They had to make it more international, like, you know what I mean? So what we're watching, the NBA is more of an international. It's not the NBA of the 80s, and it's not the NBA of the 90s, and not even like what Kobe played in. Like Kobe at least got to play and see what it was like to play like with Mike, and the type of intensity and the type of commitment and stuff that it took to win at both ends. Shaq was like that, Charles Barkley, all those guys. But now this new generation, like I said, only really ball player that I really think is a throwback to those old guys is only one left now is Steph Curry. Don't get me wrong, Steph Curry shoot a lot of threes. But number one, he's a guard. Not that that's an excuse, but they still have an old school type mentality because, Steph Curry, in my opinion, because I think it holds a lot of weight because Steph Curry has played with one franchise for his entire career. And so if they don't win it one year, then they'll go back to the drawing board and they'll try something else out and they'll come back next year for their championship chase. But this, they're really not, nobody's really not challenging nobody because of certain positions are not on the court. Certain positions are just, you don't have an Anthony Mason. You don't have a Charles Smith. Those guys, those guys challenged you in the paint. You don't have the Davis boys from Indiana. Kevin Willis was down in Atlanta. You know that those guys, they wasn't just role players. Those guys were important. They were important pieces to the puzzle, to that NBA puzzle. They were important. That is what the NBA, like, that's part of what sold the world on the NBA. That physicality and that that athleticism. But that, now the NBA is all about small forwards and shooting guards. That's it. That's it. And so it's not all on LeBron James, although I'm not a LeBron James fan or a Kevin Durant fan. It's not all on those guys. It's the environment. It's the environment that they play in, which in my opinion, that it plays a big it plays a big part of it. So with that being said, that's my opinion. That's my take on it. With that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.